Hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are, and welcome to the penultimate event. This is the Pauper Awards 2023. So here, this is the awards to showcase every card that has been printed or downshifted in 2023 and see who are the winners, the losers, and everything in between. So today, the categories, there are 14 categories today, and we will be reviewing the best creature printed in 2023, the best instant or sorcery, artifact or enchantment, the best artwork of a card in 2023, the best basic land art, the most impactful sideboard card, the biggest flop compared to hype, the best ongoing card. This is the card that has consistently been a powerhouse throughout 2023 and also in previous years. The penultimate one that everyone will be looking forward to is the Pauper Content Creator of the Year. I'm very excited to announce this winner. The best designed Magic card on a flavorful perspective and a gameplay perspective, not necessarily a tournament perspective. The Newcomer card, which is a card that is been printed in recent sets that has not had the time to shine, but is definitely getting there. A card that has returned to the metagame due to printing of some other cards. The best overall deck of 2023, and the big award, the most impactful card of 2023. So guys, how you all doing, and are you ready for this great award ceremony? I am super hyped for this. Super hyped to go through all each individual cards and what we think. So it'd be great if you guys could share it on Twitter or YouTube in the comments below and go through what you guys would think. So without further ado, it has been a great year for myself, and I really appreciate everyone that's spent all the time to follow, subscribe, comment, and suffer my insufferability. But here we are. We're at the end of 2023, and we're going to discuss what a year it has been for Magic. But before we move on, please do not forget to like and subscribe. If you do like this content, as you can tell, I've went for a lot of effort, even gelled my hair. So, please, all it takes is a bit of subscription, free to do. You can do it down below. Also, every content creator that I did mention on Twitter, that I will announce the shortlist. So I think I announced 6. There will be down to 4 here. And I will announce the ultimate winner. I will put their details below. That's the Twitter pages and their YouTube or Twitch if they stream on Twitch. Or their articles if they write articles. And just so you can check them out, because not everyone has heard of them. And I think these are the greatest. So yeah, it'd be great if you could just... They have had a great year. So please check them out. And I'd like to thank everyone for being here. That's all the cards, including your All That Glitters, your Tolarian Terrors, and your Goblin Blast Runners there in the back. Thank you all for being here. So without further ado, let's dive into the best creature printed or downshifted in 2023. Firstly, our first nomination goes to Cryptic Serpent. Our second nomination goes to Murmuring Mystic. The blue powerhouses so far. The third nomination is Merkinsmith. And the fourth and final one is Troll of Khazad-dûm. So these 4 nominations are, for the most part, self-explanatory. So that is Cryptic Serpent creating an archetype-defining deck like Mono Blue Terror, along with Murmuring Mystic having archetypes created like Blue Black Mystic, along with being featured in a lot of decks like Terror and Fear. It is very much everywhere. The Merkinsmith might surprise people, but I do believe that a lot of people didn't see the impact of this due to how much myself personally only focuses on Magic Online, and Merkinsmith really did enable Ultratron to just be that next league above itself, being able to just combo off from just itself and an altar is pretty important. So that is why Merkinsmith has been shortlisted. So the winner, without further ado, is, drumroll, Murmuring Mystic. Congratulations, Murmuring Mystic. I appreciate you being the best creature of 2023. You have surprised nobody with the amazing, unique effect you have. Being featured in a lot of different decks. Being a pain for all these Gardens players. And ultimately, being the card that I think is the most versatile out of the four. And the reason why ended up taking home the Pauper Award 2023 trophy for Best Creature in 2023. Thank you. Please take your trophy and take your seat. We will now be moving on to the Best Instant and Sorcery of 2023. The first nomination for Best Instant and Sorcery 2023 is Fanatical Offering. A recent printing, for sure, has not had a lot of time to shine, but is still up there as the effect of Deadly Dispute is very powerful. The second card is Ren's Resolve, a card that probably seems like it's been here a lifetime, but was in fact printed in 2023. The third card is Lorien Revealed, a card that definitely blew up in all formats, not just Pauper, but we are only here for Pauper, and is seeing a lot of play in a lot of different decks throughout the entire format. And the fourth and final card is Meeting of Minds, a card that doesn't see too much play in terms of versatility, but does make decks like Familiars much stronger with their cheapness and downsizing with all their Sunscape Familiars. Ultimately, this is my top 4 for Best Instant Sorcery in 2023. So, what do we think is going to win here? I think we have had a landslide vote all coming in from the audiences, and the winner is, of course, Lorien Revealed. Lorien Revealed is taking Pauper scene by storm, and to no one's surprise, has absolutely blew up the world. It is in Corgates, it is in it's in Familiars, it is in Fairies, it is in Terror, of course. It is in basically anything you could possibly think of, anything with blue. Even if you are a madman like Walker and played this in Affinity, this card is everywhere and is indeed the best instant and sorcery of 2023. So that is a great opening sequence. We are now going to move on to the best artifact or enchantment printed in 2023. The first nomination of this magical event of the best artifact or enchantment in 2023 goes to Tithe Blade. Tithe Blade has taken the world by storm and has only been out a few weeks, and has not only created a new archetype, but it is also featured in a lot of the top tier decks, including Golgari Gardens. The second nomination for Best Artifact Enchantment 2023 goes to Lembas, a card that when printed, was printed on the same weekend as Paupergeddon, and managed to top 8 the event with Boros Synth, and was definitely the breakout card of Paupergeddon with Lord of the Rings. The third artifact or enchantment printed in 2023 is Candy Trail, a card that was slow on the back burner and a lot of people did try it in Affinity and also Gardens. It has only ended up in some of Gardens lists. So what could be the fourth and final nomination of the best artifact or enchantment printed in 2023? And that is All That Glitters, the only artifact the only enchantment in this top 4 shortlist, but we are here to obviously fair game for all artifacts and all enchantments. So who would you like to see, viewers at home, win this prestigious award? That obviously goes to, of course, maybe the only enchantment on the board, but of course it takes home the dub. That is All That Glitters. All That Glitters, when printed, was worrisome for a lot of players. Not only for Bogles, but for new archetype creating decks like what we now know as Blue-White or Jeskai Glitters. So, take your trophy, All That Glitters, please, and sit down very, very quickly. Hopefully not as quickly as you do kill, but please sit down. Thank you. And now we will move on to the best art on a card printed in 2023. This one is definitely one I am looking forward to, because I personally had zero involvement in this, because I know diddly squat about art and was taken from help from my local game store members and also people in Discords, and also Reese from Casting Commons had a big part in this one, being an artist and all. So, what are our top 4 nominations for best art? Firstly is Fog on the Barrow Downs, a card that has seen almost zero play, or probably zero play, in Pauper. But again, we scour high, we scour low for all cards printed a common to add these to the amazing art. Looking at this art, it is incredible. You see everything Lord of the Ringsy. But again, alas, I am not an art person. Next up, we have a card that is seeing some amount of play. It is Besotted Knight, a card that has been featured in things like Weber's Heroic deck, and he was a fan of it initial testing. But again, this art is just fantastic. It is very good quality, great looking art. What can I say? And the next card, or the next nomination, I should say, get into the mood of the award ceremony, is Poison Dart Frog, a card that literally blew up the internet when it was printed. Look at the guy. Finally, we have Toadstool Admirer, a card loved by Medvedev in Bogles and Reese, of course, he's a big fan. So, all of this amazing art is the most artwork I've ever had on this screen that looks absolutely wonderful. And the winner is, drumroll, of course, it's Poison Dart Frog. Look at this guy. I wish my wife looked at me like this. I wish my newborn son looked at me like this. I wish my friends looked at me like this. Just has just the cutest face. So, of course, he was going to win Best Art. So now we'll move on to the Best Basic Land Art of 2023. I did struggle because I'm not a big fan of art in recent times. If you have been keeping on track of the videos, all my basic land art is from Brothers War Commander and is the all bordered basics. So I ultimately am not a massive fan, but I did review every single basic land in 2023. That is some hard graft. And this is my top 4. First nomination is the March of the Machine Full Art Basic Swamp. So, I'm not massively keen on full art lands, but this one I just think looks stunning. I'm just a big fan of, in recent times you can tell it's a swamp, which is a difficult thing to do nowadays, and I just love the colours on it. So the second nomination goes to the Wilds of Eldraine Normal Basic Island. I just think this has Lorwyn vibes, and Lorwyn basics are like one of my favourite basics, and it's just really good. So, number 2. Third nomination is the Lost Caverns of Ixalan Basic Plains. Big fan, because I just think it looks nice. It's a different style. You can definitely tell it's a plains, because you can see all the like the yellowy colours. You know, you're not getting lost, even though obviously it's the big plains. And it's just very on theme, and the art looks stunning. The fourth final one is from one of these sets again, which is the Wilds of Eldraine Basic Island. I just think, again, Lorwyn vibes is just my favourite type of basic land. So that is why these 4 have been shortlisted, or these 2 in particular. And then these 2 are just, the full art are just really good to have and look stunning. So, out of the 4, the winner is the Wilds of Eldraine River Basic Island. I just think it's stunning. It's simple. It's what Magic needs to go back to. Just nice art, normal basics. And it's just missing. It's just missing that, like, warmth. Great. Great basic. May even start using them whenever I decide to play blue. Once I get off Mardu and Black-Green Gardens, I'm going back to you. So, without further ado, another great category, which is the most impactful sideboard card printed in 2023. These are cards that have just exploded onto the scene as soon as they were printed, and some are even main deckable to an extent, but are mainly 99% of the time in the sideboard and are great there. So these are, the first nomination goes to Murmuring Mystic, a card that has been in a lot of main decks and is featured very much in a lot of main decks, but is also, for a lot of decks, a standard staple sideboard choice as a way to fight against things like Golgari Gardens or other black decks, and is definitely been the bane of my life for recent times, for sure. Secondly is Troublemaker Oof, is a card that I've seen play in Stompy or Gardens as other Deglamour effects, and definitely was rapidly tested as soon as it came out in Wilds of Eldraine, for sure. Can it take home the bacon today, though? Nomination 3 goes to Drown in Sorrow, a card that has definitely been main deckable, similar to Murmur Mystic, and even to the point of made a different type of Gardens, i.e. Campfire Gardens, a playable deck, because it has the anti-red hate to fight what it needs to do and go in the long game. Can it be seriously that impactful that it can take home the win today? Or will the 4th nomination, Cast into the Fire, take home the absolute win and win the best and most impactful sideboard card of 2023? And the winner is Cast into the Fire. Of course it is. Cast into the Fire has basically been, since printed, since Pauper, when it was day 1, it was able to be played. It just shot into playability, obviously in Boros and things like that. And the big key at the time, it freed up sideboard space, because it had your Electrickery effect glued onto your Dust to Dust effect, almost. So being able to kind of tackle both of those in one card really freed up the space. So that is the most impactful sideboard card in 2023. So now, not the greatest award, but the biggest hype, biggest flop of 2023. This is a card that I believe was hyped to be amazing, backbreaking, or whatever, and just flopped on its face. So without further ado, the nomination 1 is Candy Grapple. So, being a card that Final Flourish was printed previously and was really hyped up, but then didn't hit the mark because the numbers were off, being -2/-2 and -6, -6 or 7 -7 or whatever. Being an upgrade, being a nameless inversion on -3/-3, was really hyped as it killed Kenku lands, and when bargained, killed Terrors and Gurmag Anglers, while also being able to sacrifice your Wellsprings and your plant tokens, it seemed like a perfect fit for gardens and would absolutely decimate the meta. And yet, has still been nowhere to be seen. The second nomination of biggest flop goes to Dread Return. So this card is obviously very strong and has seen play in other formats, but ultimately, apart from making Oops All Spells WinCon a bit different, a lot easier to click on Magic Online, ultimately hasn't really lived up to the hype of it is going to break Pauper. There is still time because they will one day downshift Narcomoeba, but at this moment in 2023, it's definitely a massive flop to the metagame. Moving on to nomination number 3 of the biggest flop of the year is Spell Stutter. This card was due to absolutely ruin everybody's metagames. It was supposed to make Fae bannable. Would this push Spell Stutter Sprite over the edge? Or would it absolutely fall flat on its face? And I still, to this day, have yet to see a Spell Stutter registered in a league, in tabletop Magic, or even in a challenge. Fourth and final nomination is Windrider Wizard, a card that was going to make combo decks or revitalize combo decks and absolutely break things left, right, and centre, was definitely Windrider Wizard. This, however, hype was not initial on release, but after people's first testing, which is fine. But still, it's seen the hype. Did it live up to it, though? I'm yet to see it again past the initial downshift. So, without further ado, the winner of the biggest flop of 2023 for me is Spell Stutter. This card to me was on face of it from every single social media outlet. This card is absolutely busted. And unfortunately, to no one's surprise, Loose Focus is not breaking the format. And just because it says fairies does not mean it is busted. As much as Spell Stutter Sprite is actually a really strong card, Spell Stutter, however, does not live up to the mark. So that is the biggest flop of 2023. How does everyone feel about those nominations? I'm assuming I've upset a lot of people. Please let me know how you feel like I've upset you. I appreciate it. Now, we move on to looking back out of 2023 and look at cards that have been staples or meta-defining throughout 2023 and also before then. And basically, a lot of the time is I say this as cards you think of that when someone mentions Pauper, these are the cards you think of. And I think I've captured these really well. So let me know what you think. And the first nomination is Deadly Dispute. The card is definitely a defining card. It has enabled so many different decks. It has obviously been an addition in normal Grixis Affinity. It is a mainstay and the reason Golgari Gardens exists. It is been a linchpin in Rakdos combo decks like Mogwarts or Rakdos Storm, even like Treasure Storm, like a deck that's kind of being brought to the light right now. It's just an all-round great card that has definitely, since its print in AFR, has been dominating. Once obviously people realised that it was busted, it's literally just never left. And our second nomination is a classic card, Counterspell. So this card is definitely a mainstay and one of the all-time best cards in Pauper. It has just showcased itself to basically keep a lot of things in check, to allow blue to do its thing. And it's definitely here to stay and is definitely one of the best of most ongoing cards. It has definitely been there throughout, for sure. And definitely a card I think of when I think of Pauper, for sure. I think, however, since it's printing in, I actually don't know where it's just been printed, has kind of taken away from it. I think it was Modern, was it, or something? Anyways, but it's definitely, since it's been played in other formats, it has taken away from it slightly. The third nomination is Mer Enforcer. So this card has been played since its inception, almost. It has been since its janky piles with a Tog and all the Mirrodin lands, since its reign with Grixis Affinity alongside Deadly Dispute, to now where it is seen play in blue-white glitters, to where also like Boros decks are sometimes playing it, to jam all that glitters. This card just definitely is the pinnacle of Pauper, and definitely a card you think of when you think Pauper. So our fourth and final nomination is Core Skyfisher, another card that since its inception has been really strong. Its rate is just unmatched. Its body and its effect is just like no other. It has definitely been a strong card and a strong contender for Pauper since it's been printed at Common. So without further ado, the winner of Best Ongoing Card is, of course, Mer Enforcer. This card literally is, no matter how many times they ban stuff or whatever for artifact-based decks, this card still survives and is still kicking. Mer Enforcer is definitely one of the best ongoing cards and cards to kind of make you think of Pauper. So with that, I will then move on to the best designed card. So this is a card from flavor perspective or even like gameplay perspective of how I feel it just encompasses either flavor or just how it comes across in gameplay. So the first nomination is Brave the Wilds is our first nomination for the best design card. Again, this is not for playability or anything. It is literally just how it feels. I just love the flavor of this card. The fact that basically if you do not have your artifact or enchantment or your whatever to kind of give to the wilds, you just get the measly thing you found that land, you're like, whoa, and then that's it. You find it. You get given a pet, basically. You found this like elemental thing that's just there. I don't know, I just really like it. And then obviously how it plays as well. Like the early game, you get to obviously just, here you go, I've got my land drops, and then later on, I've now got a threat. So ultimately, that is why I think Brave the Wilds is one of the best design cards. Nomination number 2 is Runaway Boulder. I just think thematically, this card is amazing. A big giant boulder, Indiana Jones style. It comes out of nowhere with the flash. It obviously is an artifact, and it can basically just run over anything. It's like, I've surprised the Runaway Boulder, hit the first person that kind of triggered the Runaway Boulder, hence the 6 damage, and ultimately with the cycle on the end, at the end it's just gone, and it just sometimes doesn't work. So you've kind of expected the boulder and you've cycled it away. Great thematic card, really do like it. The third one is Return Triumphant. Again, it's like a recommission but with a young hero role. And again, this is thematically, I just really like this card because you're returning a creature from the graveyard. So it's kind of like, it's come back to wherever it's gone from on its little hobbity adventure or, you know, fairy tale knight running away. And it's come back to the village as a young hero. It's got obviously its counters on from the roll and things like that. I just really like the card thematically. Again, really well designed from that perspective. And fourth and final nomination is Lembas. So this card is obviously, I don't know, it just kind of never-ending bread from Lord of the Rings. It just really does work. I just like everything about it. Obviously, it gives you something when you eat it, i.e. when it comes in, when you're sacrificing, all that sort of stuff. But it just never ends because Elvish bread just never really ends. So yeah, it is another great, well-designed card, and also works gameplay perspective too. Just you get that feeling of it playing really well. So the winner of the best ongoing best well-designed card, I think, just for thematic reasons, is Runaway Boulder. This card just feels so fun. It was very hard to choose the winner of these because I think they were all really well designed, but I just really like Runaway Boulder and just like how it works. And also the fact that it's seeing play just makes me even happier. Flickertron people, I now have some respect for you as long as you play Runaway Boulder. This card is fantastic. So, the next award is the best newcomer. So this is a card from, I'm going to say the last two sets, I believe I put it to. And it was a card that's just taken over by storm. And I do think if it was printed earlier in the year, it would have got most impactful card. But it's just too early to see, too early to kind of fully have the full potential of that card. So that is why this is the newcomer. And the first nomination is Candy Drill. Candy Drill is the first card of the best newcomer. And that is just basically because I do think the card is good. It just hasn't had a lot of time, a lot of different positions to be in. And I do think it's got time to shine now that Monastery Swiftspear has been banned. It will just take some time to kind of come to fruition. So that is the first card in the best newcomers. The second is probably to no one's surprise, is Goblin Tomb Raider. This card is Goblin Guide for Pauper. It has definitely taken over, and definitely taken over in Paupergeddon when Lost Caverns of Ixalan was released. It only got one copy in the top 8. But it is a strong contender for one of the best and potentially the most impactful cards in the format, and it has only been out a short while. The next one is, again, another one that is probably not a surprise, is Fanatical Offering. This card is obviously a Deadly Dispute effect, and it's another one that gives you tokens and artifacts and things like that to sacrifice so you can chain them. And it's definitely been a strong contender in the success of Gardens and along with other sort of Deadly Dispute decks. The fourth and final best newcomer card is Tithe Blade. This card obviously is a Chainer's Edict that is just a permanent play. This is allowing you to pick it up with Caught Skyfisher. It allows you to sacrifice it with Deadly Dispute and Fanatical Offering. You can flip it to obviously be a win con. There is definitely different things for uses for this card. And this card's definitely taken over by Storm 2 along with Tomb Raider. So it's definitely one of the best cards for this award. So, without further ado, the winner is Tithe Blade. This was a hard decision, to be honest. And without being too honest, it was basically between this and Tomb Raider. But this card has single-handedly not only replaced Chainer's Edict, but it has brought black-white decks back into the field. It put 3 copies into the Paupergeddon top 8 with Paupergeddon with 3 Gardens decks. And it also put like Mono Black Devotion tools back on, obviously being a permanent that's black and things like that. It's just ultimately just changed the game so much in such a small space of time. So that really is great to see and definitely worthy of the Pauper Awards 2023. So Tithe Blade, take your throne and sit down, please. But please don't poke anyone on the way past. I would not like to fill out all the paperwork. So please be careful while sitting down. So this one is a bit different. So this is the returning card. So this is a card that ultimately has returned to the metagame that basically seen no play before. I don't want to say 2023, but close to 2023, back end of 2022, that basically seen no play before cards printed were around. So these nominations go to Spin in Darkness is the first nomination for best returning card. This card basically seen no play in its original printing. And since the Gardens deck, from Deadly Dispute, from all the adaptions from Mono Black Gardens, this card is definitely returned in full force in 2023. To the extent of obviously being able to gain life against Kuldotha, things like that. So, definitely one of the best returning cards here. The second one is a good one in the fact that, again, Gingerbrute seen no play in effectively its printing, really. There was like a couple of, I don't want to say meme decks, but low land count decks that just kind of used Gingerbrute in like an affinity deck, but ultimately didn't really get much leverage. And now since Gates and also Glitters has just come back in full force, so it's definitely a contender here. Weird one is Brainstorm is the third nomination, and the reason is effectively Preordain was the ultimate card that kind of seen cantrip play, and it was very much Preordain, then Ponder, then Brainstorm, because the amount of shuffle effects that you had in your deck was very, very low. But now, with the addition of Lorien revealed, and also Squadron Hawking Corgates, Brainstorm ultimately becomes probably one of the wider played and most played cantrips now. So that's kind of taken the mantle. The fourth and final best returning card is a weird one, but also a very good one, is Seal of Fire. So this card kind of, again, seen very minimal play when it was printed or throughout its time in Magic Pauper history. But since Goblin Blast Runner has become a thing, having lots of ways to not only trigger prowess at the time, but also sacrifice effects to get the effect of Goblin Blast Runner to make it a 3-2. So Seal of Fire is definitely a contender for one of the cards that have returned that didn't really see too much play prior. But I think, as much as all these cards seem very little play here, I do think that the winner is Gingerbrute. So this card may surprise you, but I do think the fact that how much this card just went from almost zero play to like occasional playing Gates to since all that Glitters was printed, just absolutely exploded. And it's basically, if you're running all that Glitters and are not Bogles, basically, you kind of want to try and fit this into your deck. It has built-in evasion, gives the buff to all that Glitters, and things like that. And it's just a strong card. Also has haste. The card's just good now. So, it may surprise you and may upset you that that's obviously my choice of best returning card, but here we are. So, we're now on to the last 3 awards, and 3 of the biggest awards in my opinion. So this is the most impactful card of 2023 all throughout, like over creatures, instant sorceries. This is the most impactful card. Then there's also the best deck of 2023, and then also the Pauper content creator of the year. So we will start with the best deck of 2023, and the nominations are Blue-White Glitters. This is the first nomination, and to no one's surprise, has definitely been in contention of one of the strongest decks in the format. And a variation on Blue-White Glitters definitely has recently won Paupergeddon, and still is putting up consistent results. The second nomination is Mono Blue Terror. I did just have Terror here, but ultimately Mono Blue Terror is the deck of 2023 out of them all. Cryptic Servant has definitely enabled that. And the third one is, to no one's surprise, is the Red Menace, Kuldotha Red. And yeah, so this deck's just strong. It's definitely a strong one. Just had a recent banning. It was that strong. The fourth and final deck is a personal favourite of mine, and that is Golgari Gardens. This is a deck that is a mid-range control deck that uses Kalni Garden and Deadly Dispute to draw loads of cards, control the board, and kill the opponent with either Initiative or Troll or what have you. So these are, all 4 of these decks in some capacity have probably been described as ban-worthy, if not already received a ban. Looking at you, Mono Red. and is definitely a contention for all 4 for the best deck of 2023. The winner is, I do not believe this needs a drum roll, because it is ultimately Kuldotha Rebirth. Kuldotha Rebirth or Kuldotha Red has just received a recent banning. The Monastery Swiftspear has just been banned. And it's still a strong deck. Still week 2, week 3 after the banning. It's putting up results in the challenges. And is still doing really well, and has done nothing but plague people's leagues, people's tournaments, since Monastery Swiftspear was printed. So it's great to see, and there is no questions that this is definitely the best deck of 2023. So take a seat, Goblins. I have heard the after party is at your house, but it definitely is not mirrored anymore. So you'll have to let everyone know, give them what 3 words to let them know where the party is. So that leaves us the most impactful card of 2023, and without further ado, nomination number 1 is Lembas. Lembas, the first card on the most impactful cards of 2023. Definitely took Pauper getting by storm, with Lord of the Rings being released and Boros Synth being definitely the breakout deck of that event. And the large success due to Lembas, I would say, along with Cast Into the Fire. This card has found its way into all sorts of different decks, from Black White Blade to Gardens to Boros Synth, and the card is definitely impactful. It changes the way you can play your game, as you basically can get 4 extra cards into your deck almost, with the shuffle effect to save yourself from decking and things like that. The card is definitely impactful and has definitely a contender to be here. The next one on the list is Murmur Mystic. This card is the only card with this effect in the game in Pauper at the moment. There is no other Young Pyromancer effect. And it is the perfect costed version of this, I think. It's definitely changed the way people can play the game. They have these in their sideboards to fight decks that have sort of spot removal to go wide. And it's a deck that can rewards you for just having interaction on the stack and things like that. The cards just totally changes the way you play the game. Ultimately, like, you can focus on, I don't know, leaving a terror around because you have to be able to answer the Murmur Mystic and things like that. It changes the way you have to play the game because its effect is so unique, and it's definitely impacted the format and the way we play the game overall. The third nomination is Lorien Revealed. This card is everywhere. It is ultimately, it's made you reduce your land count. It obviously has late game impact of giving you basically a fresh hand. It lets you splash colours. It gives the type jewels a new lease of life. It helps shuffle brainstorms. It puts a card in the graveyard for Tolarian Terror. This card does a lot, and it is one single card. For sure, has definitely impacted the format. The fourth and final card, that is the most impactful one, is All That Glitters. This card is a card that has definitely kept everything in check, and it's definitely impacted everybody's game by how quick you die, how, oh, it's okay, how harmful can this Ornithopter be? Here's 2 All That Glitters, and you are dead. It has impacted everyone's board state, deck building, and it's just taken over by... It is, however, only in 1 to 2 decks, but it is definitely impactful. The winner is, which again, I do not think needs a drum roll, because all these have impacted the game in one way or the other, but by no means, like, this card has not only just impacted Pauper, but is impacted and shaped the way different other formats are played. So the card is definitely, and no one's surprise, is Lorien Revealed. Well done, Lorien Revealed. You have yet again won another award. You were the favourite to win quite a lot of the awards, as we can see, and you are living up to the expectations. So please, all of you, take your seat and prepare for the after party, because we have penultimate award, and that is obviously the Content Creator of the Year. We have shortlisted it down to 4. If you have seen the tweet that I posted on the final list, there was 7 names. So there was Kali, or Sadin Rakin, Stompy, Salt and Pauper, David Royale, Walker, Kirblinxy, and GN. Those were the names that I did end up with being the final 7. They will be shortlisted down to 4, as you can see here. And there are other creators that have had obviously huge years. These are the ones that stood out to me, and I will give reasons why. So obviously, Kali has been on a consistent grind, at least 3 videos a week. Just absolutely amazing quality content with all sorts of different combo decks, all that sort of good stuff. We have Stompy, obviously an amazing content creator. Not English, so there might a lot of these viewers watching this may not watch him, but he's fantastic. Always questioning the norms, again with consistent uploads. I think at least twice a week. Absolutely on point. He always goes into depths of challenging every single norm and all that sort of stuff with all sorts of different decks that he's working on. And it's great to me. You can see as well that he consistently works on one deck, and you can tell that with his videos because it's consistently changing and challenging different things. So, really good stuff. Salt and Pauper obviously had an amazing year. Absolutely rocketed to up the view count, up the everything. Always constantly on Twitter, and the video quality is just fantastic. Again, very well made videos, very clean looking, and yeah, can't go any wrong with watching Salt and Pauper's content. Again, we have David Royale, or Saitama, I believe it's pronounced. I'm really bad at pronouncing these things. They are the short king of Pauper. Their shorts, their videos are all amazingly edited, really high quality, and they're just consistent as well. Really great and really digestible. So I really recommend all these so far. Well, obviously we have Walker's article series on, I believe, Pauper Wave was just so much detail, went into, from a competitive standpoint, was just a fantastic read. And hopefully they keep doing these series with all this sort of, they play so much Magic, and the amount of data they get is just fantastic, and having that in a written format is just great. The final 2, we obviously have GN, the absolute FAMS master, obviously with his 56% win rate being noted by the PFP. He's the one that's going to be banned for FAMS, but great content, obviously great year for him in general, and then obviously the video series are just getting there and really going to detail of certain particular in-depth competitive sections, so it's really great to see. And then finally, Kirby, the man that consistently just does well and appears everywhere, and the upload, the quality, and the just in-detail plays that he goes through are just fantastic. Highly recommend watching these videos. If you did not know, we did have a race to 500, and I believe we tied, and then obviously Kirby's just went up and above and beyond the norms. Obviously his sub count is much higher than mine now, and he's just a great content creator, and I really recommend watching them. Just the light-hearted feel of the videos while also still being competitive and in-depth, and just whatever deck it is as well. It's never just here's a competitive deck. It's just wild, wacky decks and still consistently doing well, and also consistently putting himself up results in challenges. So I really recommend all of these. For those that haven't heard of some of these content creators, I will be putting all their socials and their content, whatever it may be, their YouTube, their Twitch, their articles, all in the description below, so please check those out. Finally, just to shout out, obviously, the 3 that I do think have had a great year is obviously Casting Commons, which we can't really put on the shortlist because that's a bit biased. But again, had a great year. We were originally the only UK podcast, and now still growing, still doing really well. Nerd to the Core, or Alex Ullman, his article series are consistent, always in depth, and always great detail. And again, Weber has done fantastic stuff with all sorts of different variety of content, all digestible, all great. Highly recommend checking out both of those, but ultimately decided to leave the PFP out of it, including Heisen as well. Obviously, just in case people got raging. So, without further ado, these are our final 4 names. So, out of the last 7, they were the shortlist of 7. This is the shortlist of 4. We have Kali. Kali is up there, again, consistent uploads, been on the grind for so long, and doing really well. Absolutely smashing it. Keep it up. The next one is Stompy. I'm liking the new profile picture. Definitely still need to get used to it though. Again, absolute grind, consistent uploads, and just absolutely smashing it. Keep up the great work. Keep up the great high quality videos. Third one, Salt and Pauper. Definitely had a fantastic year. Has just absolutely flew past any growing content creator and just nailing it. Absolutely nailing it. With all the thoughts and opinions, doing really well. Keep it up. You're absolutely doing amazing. And finally, we have David Royale. Again, high quality videos. Editing is literally beyond anybody else's. He's in a league of their own. They're absolutely nailing it. And yeah, keep up the great work. You're doing all fantastic. These 4, I want to obviously showcase as these are the peak of content creators for Pauper, I would say, right now. And that is still, everyone else is doing amazing work. But these 4 definitely stand out to me. And everyone, please, what a great year it's been for Pauper. What a great year it's been for content creation. Please all keep it up. And this is no means that anyone is rubbish or anything. These are just my personal final 4. So without further ado, the winner is, in my opinion, a very, very close win. But ultimately, my win goes to Stompy. This was close by any stretch of the means, and it definitely, I would like to highlight that he's had a fantastic year, consistently challenging every norm, questioning everything that everyone assumes, and goes in detail, competitive, still keeps everyone informed, and I really do highly recommend checking him out. And don't be put off just because all the videos are not in English. I highly recommend giving them a watch. And then you will truly see how amazing he is at content creation. Again, this was very close and it could have went either way. This was just how I felt. But, so, here we are. Congratulations, Ricardo or Stompy. Please, take away. And what would you like to say to your followers?
Olá, Andrews e galera do Tuesday MTG. Estou muito feliz de ter recebido esse prêmio aqui, muito contente. Não poderia ter coroado aqui da melhor maneira aqui o meu ano de 2023, que foi muito bom no Pauper, tanto na produção de conteúdo como jogador também. Então realmente fiquei muito feliz. Já havia ficado muito feliz só de ser um indicado a essa categoria, porque realmente tem muita fera, tem muito produtor de conteúdo bom que foi indicado aqui pelo Andrew. Muito obrigado aí, realmente. Um bom ano aí de 2023, agora um bom ano de 2024 para todos nós. Valeu!
Thank you for Ricardo's amazing talk there. Really appreciate it. Really insightful, and again, keep up the great work. Everyone, all 4 of you keep up the great work, and everybody who is in the Pauper game, and you yourself may be here for Pauper 2024 Content Creator of the Year. So thank you guys for watching, and thank you guys for sticking with me. I thought this would be an enjoyable experience to round off everyone's 2023 for an amazing year of Pauper and an amazing game, an amazing community that we all have. And Pauper is just the best. It is the format of the people. There is no shadow of a doubt. So thank you guys for sticking with me. Thank you guys for watching. And thank you for everyone who's supported me, because this has been a fantastic year. A life-changing year for me, obviously. But it has also been a fantastic year in the content creation. And I really do appreciate every single one of you. So let's look forward to, we've got a big year ahead of us for casting comments and also this channel here. So I really do appreciate you sticking by me. And we have got some amazing things to come. So really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. And do not forget to hit that notification bell so you do not miss an upload. Have a great Christmas, everyone. And Happy New Year too. And I will see you in the new year. Peace.